Welcome to FAWSL United WFC.
Good evening and welcome to FAWSL United WFC. This is Ben and Matt, Saturday Night Live. Yes, we're not live, I know. We are pre-recorded, but I am back. I'm back after a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, bit of a break, you know. Unfortunately, I've had work and it's been an absolute nightmare this time of the year. So thankfully, Matt's been taking over all the duties. Has done very well with that. And also everybody else that's filled in. Thank you very much for filling in for me. I really appreciate it. But onwards and upwards, how are we, boys?
Yeah, good, thank you. Definitely the happiest I've been regarding a Man United women's supporter in recent weeks. But we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in due course.
Absolutely.
No,
how are you, Matt?
All good from me, pal. I suppose nearly there now. Nearly there. Obviously, it'll be Saturday, so by the time this goes out, I'll have a couple more days, and then two in a little bit extra weeks off. So, looking forward to just catching up with friends, just refreshing. Obviously, we'll have tomorrow's game to see everybody before Christmas, and then see how things go. But like I say, just to touch on what you say, happy to fill in. I think this is what it's all about, and this is why it's a good community. You can literally message anyone and say, "Oh, do you fancy it?" And they're always happy to come on. So. Yeah, just to sort of touch on that, obviously, people have stuff to do and things happen in people's lives, and it's one of them things. But I think, like I say, just to shout out everybody, really, that this is what's great. If somebody needs like a chat or somebody needs help or anything like that, everybody's always there. So, but we are back. Obviously, not live, commitments and people that pester us to come to games and stuff like that. All for the fans, but no, it's nice to be back.
Absolutely. It's just, I'm going to touch on our Wednesday night's results in a minute as well, because unfortunately I couldn't go to the game. I had to wait for a negative COVID test result, and it came back on Thursday morning as negative, and I'm absolutely gutted because I should have been able to go, but there you are. Life's a bitch in it sometimes. I missed a good game by the sounds of it. So for those who were there, Matt, were you there last night, pal? Wednesday night.
I was indeed. Yeah, I
was in his Liam Gallagher coat.
Yeah. Rob very kindly picked me up. We went for a lovely meal. I say a lovely meal. It was in Liverpool, wasn't it? But went for a meal at Harvester in Liverpool. Lovely steak as well. But no, obviously onto the game. Went stood behind the goal as we do. In my green coat, as Anthony refers to. Although somebody told me ET, and I'm like, nah, ET's a white towel. So Anthony was spot on with his analogy, so I'll take that. I just missing my glasses. But no, good performance, and obviously we'll get into that properly. But yeah, good atmosphere. Hey, it was funny. They've got a drummer.
Oh no.
One guy on his own, he was waffling, and he was doing the little thing, and it didn't even fit. Because Everton.
Mate, to be fair, though, they had the drummer last time we was there in the league as well. So, actually, I don't think you made that game, did you, Matt? But
no.
You had that drummer there as well. I do remember that now.
Right.
Yeah, the poor little man was trying to get poor little guy was trying to get all the atmosphere going in there, and he could get a dicky boo out of anybody around him.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was the same for Wednesday night.
Yeah, exactly the same, pal. Obviously, like I say, I didn't make the league, so I didn't know. So the last time I was there was no drummer, so it was funny. But listen, they're trying, but it was just funny. But stewards, Wally's, there was a bit of an incident with stewards.
Well, I had an issue with the steward after the game last time. I know that both of you wasn't there last time for the league game, but obviously I took my son who was in a wheelchair, and John and Alex were there also. And obviously Alex is always in a wheelchair. So anyway, it started obviously because at the end we always had to clap the team off and give them a little bit of a cheer before we exit the stadium. There's two stewards trying to push us out way before then. And we couldn't get past because obviously, it's, as you would know, when you're standing behind the goal, it's only a really narrow path, and then a little bit of a grassy, muddy verge on the side there. Mm-hmm. And then you got your fences up there. So I was trying to say, listen, you've got all them Everton fans at the side, as you go around that side where the stand is, where they sit down. So you've got all them Everton fans there as well. We're not going to be able to get past. So give us 5 minutes, wait till it's clear, and then we'll go. Oh, no, you'll go when we say. I said, don't be so pushy. I don't get this at Goodison Park. Oh, yeah. Well, I Goodison Park. I said, no, you're not, mate. I've been at Goodison Park loads, man. You lot don't say dicky boo to United fans. So you're just trying to flex your muscles now because we're in the middle of nowhere in the shithole that you call a fucking stadium, and you're trying to tell us what to do. I said, don't. And I actually kicked off, and Mark was trying to calm me down. I remember that day, so...
Yeah, well, there was rude to Deborah, and she was on the phone, and it was one of them. But then you know what it's like? We kept taking the mick because they got a bit pissy over that grassy mud bit, and they're like, "Oh, you can't go on that. Don't be near it." And then somebody went on it, like you didn't know, just some random, and I went, "Oi, get off the grass!" and started laughing. And this woman come up, she was like, "Can you not take the mick, please?" I said, "Listen," I said, "Who's taking mick?" I said, "Me or you?" I said, "I'm just repeating what you said." I said, "I was deadly serious." She said, "Oh, it was your tone." I was like, "Jog on." But anyway, sorry, we just got.
No. But see, that's been highlighted. The Everton seem to like muscles this year as Jobsworth, as I call it, Jobsworth. Yeah. Anthony, how did you find the match on Wednesday, pal?
Well, from what I heard, fortunately I haven't been able to go to as many games in the last couple of months as I'd like to have gone. Just Christmas and that, and money factor, and hopefully after Christmas I'll be able to get back to games. As long as Boris doesn't shut things down.
Don't say that.
Which,
do not say that.
No. I've been jinxing it, lad.
Well, the thing is, you don't know what he's going to do. 1 minute he'll say he won't do it, but you can't believe a word they say half the time.
No. But, well, me and Benny have hired the cherry picker, so we're going to.
Yeah. From the highlights. The highlights I saw from Wednesday's game, it seemed like we just resumed from where we were on Sunday against Brighton. Without a doubt, this has been Mark Skinner's best week in the job. Personally, 2 clean sheets, 2-2-0 wins. Obviously, you were there, Benny, on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. On another day, if it was Victoria Williams and Megan Walsh, it would have been. We could have easily won 5-6-0, but we need to do this on a consistent basis and actually get the goals, because as we know, goal difference plays a huge part. But if we can continue like we did in the previous week, then there'll be a lot of happy United fans. I know people are on the edge because of the football they want to see, and it does make you wonder if some of the points that we had, like I know Skinner touches on, we should have beaten Everton, Tottenham, then it's a whole different ball game, isn't it? You don't have so many people jumping on the way Skinner's playing. You're just like, well, we've got these points, we're third. Yeah, admittedly, Arsenal and Chelsea are miles apart and everything's hunky-dory. But because of the amount of draws we've had when he does mention we should have won, it's a bit like, well, everyone, you know what United fans are like. They're a hard-to-please bunch. Because the commitment and the love they have to the team, they just want what's best for them. So the last week I've been very happy, and long may it continue. I feel like Villa, it will continue. Villa only scored 6 goals in 9 games. So as long as we are switched on and aggressive, like Skinner says, we will be winning 3 or 4-0 on Sunday.
Very, very bold prediction there from Anthony. Matt, just before we move on to Villa, mate, if I get what you made of the Everton performance on Wednesday night, what do you make of Katie Zellen's performance as well? Because a lot's come out about that. I know a lot's been said about Katie Zellen, a lot's been said and written and what have you, but obviously she had one of her better games in a red shirt for a long, long time. From again, what I saw, I only saw it on MUTV. Unfortunately, I only had You know, I wasn't there at the ground, so I only had the TV cams to sort of show, show me the match. I wasn't there to see it with my own eyes. What did you make of it? Because you were there to see with your own eyes. What did you make of the performance and United's overall?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll start with Zellum, and I think firstly what I will say is credit where credit's due. I've been a vocal person on her performances since season 1, to be fair. I'm not going to dress it up. I've been quite vocal on it. So I think what we saw Wednesday was a different formation and one that works for her. And it's something I don't recall us doing too many times at United, a 5-player midfield. And it worked. But I think what we saw from her was good. And I agree. I can't think back to when she had a performance that was as good as that. And listen, it's never, some people say, oh, well, you're always digging the same players, but it's the same players that are at times not playing the best. And I've seen Katie Zellum prior to United, and I know what she's capable of. And it's a little bit disheartening at times, especially when she captained, to see performances which drop below the standards, and not just for one season. But Wednesday, she was everywhere. The passing from her was good. She hit a few lovely through balls and balls over the top, which were proper, not just whacked. They were properly weighted and successful. She obviously, they gave her 2 assists. I'm not having that own goals and assist. I'm really not, because it was the second phase of play where it went in. But definitely the through ball from Martha Thomas was a great sort of team move. She got herself about, saw her put in her foot for a couple of tackles, which again, she's not always, for me, doing or not properly. And just the midfield looked more secure. So like I say, I don't mind that, credit where credit's due. But I feel like at times these players, listen, they probably don't read it or listen to it anyway. But I think at times when it gets called out, hopefully it spurs them on. It's never anything like against them, It's always for the better. Like Anthony said, United fans are a hard bunch to please, and that's from our own standards. But in terms of the team, 4-5-1. And I think for me, he's found now, dare I say it, the correct formation or formation that works. Now, I've been critical in the past of a 4-5-1 only because it's the one up front, which I don't like. But what we did was we had one holding, and then the other 2 were in front. So it was sort of like a 4-1-3-2 in a way, but it varied in out of possession. But it started as a 5, and in the middle was Tooney, FAWSL, and Zellum. And then you had Hanson one side and Galton the other. So Martha Thomas up front on her own, your back 4. And I think, like I say, just in and out of possession, when we were defending, Katie was the one to drop back, but it allowed Tooney and FAWSL to push higher up to support Martha Thomas. And I think it worked really well. And like I say, in and out of possession, little things. And I've always said we need one defensive midfield. That's all we need. And it's proven it now. We've beat Brighton, which I didn't think we'd do. And that sounds bad, but that's just... And we could have had, like Anthony said, but for Megan Walsh and Williams, probably they're better 2 players. We could have had 3 or 4. We should have had, really. But for poor finishing. And Everton, we never looked troubled. It was just so solid. That midfield, for me, won us the game. And I've said our midfield is the best it can be, or the best we've had since season 1, and it can win us games. And it's not looked like doing so up until Brighton. So really pleasing. The new shape looks good. We never looked troubled. Like I wasn't worried about conceding. I thought we could have had a few more goals. Listen, if I'm being super critical, and this will be harsh, the pressing wasn't great, but that comes with time. And I think we should have created a little bit better. We should have been a bit more creative. And in the final third, there was a lot of overplaying for me. There was times it was like, hit it, shoot. And we'd pass it and we'd try and get the perfect goal. And it was a bit like watching Arsenal. You pass it until you got like a 3-yard tap and it's just like hit the bleeding ball. But like I say, I can't, that's super critical because I can't moan because we got the job done, which is all we wanted. But look, listen, if we can take this going forward, we'll push for that top 3. I'm not saying we'll get it, but we will push and we'll push hard. So, fingers crossed for good form, good fitness and health. And Smithy came back as well, by the way, and was quality. So yeah, that's all. And Millie Turner, obviously we know Millie.
Well, Millie bossed it against Brighton as well, to be fair.
Yeah, Millie and Mannion is the one. So I just think I don't like looking back on hindsight, but if we'd have had Millie fit, we wouldn't be where we are now. We'd have them 3 draws, we'd have probably won at least 2 of them. So anyway, absolutely, but happier than I was 2 weeks ago against I can't think. Yeah. There was one game I walked out the ground very frustrated. It might have been after the Arsenal game, or I can't even. No, Leicester it was. a little bit frustrated at the way things are going, but we've turned it around. So let's see what we get.
Absolutely, yeah. Moving on to Aston Villa now at the weekend. Anthony, are we expecting them to put much of a fight up against us? Do you think that they'll cause as many problems?
If I'm being honest, not really. Their game plan will be to make it hard for us. And the important thing is we just keep trying to play our game, creating chances. And if we get an early goal, then the floodgates can open. But also, if we don't get the early goal, then we just need to be patient, keep doing what we're good at, and it will come. Unfortunately, for Villa, I feel like they lost their best player last season in Ibuchi, which would have been a massive loss for them. They have got 10 points, which they'll be happy with, but they've not really won many games recently. They don't score many goals. It's their defence that has got them them points. But on terms, I think we're turning the corner now. Skinner's getting what he wants across to the girls, and we're seeing it. And I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, hopefully it'll continue. No disrespect to Villa, and I'm going to touch wood, which is my brain, because sometimes it's made of wood. But Brighton and Everton, in terms of quality through the squad, are no disrespect to Villa, and sorry, Villa fans, if you're watching this, but they both are better teams. I've said it many of times before. With Brighton, you don't know what they're going to get. Everton, I think, will be disappointed. But we'll talk about that with the halfway stage preview. But to answer your question, no, I think it will be very much, they will try and be tight, make it hard for us. But I expect us to have the majority of the ball. It's just that we need to be clinical. We need to start getting these 4-5-0 wins. And a couple of the performances this season have merited them. But for whatever reason, we don't get them. The keeper has a blinder But like you said, Benny, I don't really expect much. I just expect them to try and make it as hard as possible to keep it 0-0 for as long as possible. And we'll see Sunday, obviously. But I like I've just said, I think Villa are going to be in for a long afternoon. I think tomorrow afternoon. Unfortunately, I can't make it again with Christmas and that. I've all financed out at the moment, but I believe it's on MUTV. So I've got the boys tomorrow. They're doing Christmas with the family, so we will watch that. So I will be there screaming at the telly. I just won't be there in person, unfortunately. But after New Year and that,
we'll probably hear you from home anyway, lad. We'll probably hear you from home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm sure you'll send us a few voice notes.
Well, yeah. I might send you one tonight, actually. I go to band night. They'll probably have they'll probably have Leah Galton September on from. So we'll see.
He knows the set list already.
He makes for the DJ. That's what it is.
Exactly.
No, I just know the sort of music the band plays. That's all.
No, well, fair play to you, mate. Fair play to me. But my thoughts on Villa, I just think this could be. We need to be a little bit careful, a bit wary as well, because we know who's in the opposite dugout, and she's got a point to prove as well, Carla Ward, and this would be a big scalp for her if she could get any sort of result against us. I feel, we've got to be careful as well, because these are the sides we tend to struggle against as well. You know, when it gets down to nitty gritty, we start seeing a few mistakes. We start trying to overplay things, overthink things on the football pitch. Skinner might, try and set up a little bit differently in terms of tactically, where he might go, oh yeah, 1-0 we'll do, and then we'll sit back. We've been there before. We've had 1-0 win, 1-0s or 2-1s ahead, and then we've been clawed back. So I'm hoping we go out there like we have done the last couple of games now. Go out there with a positive attitude. Go out there to win the game. Batter them. I don't care. Don't feel sorry for the opposition. Just batter them. If we get 3 or 4, fantastic. That'll be good. But if we get 1-0 ahead and we're sitting on that, especially in the second half, we start sitting on a 1-0 lead or a 2-1 lead, whatever it may be. We're sitting on a single goal lead. It'll be like, as Ferguson would say, it'll be like squeaky bum time. I don't think we can sit on 1 goal lead. It's been proven all through the season that we cannot do it. We're not defensively astute enough to do that. Yes, I know Millie Turner's back, as you said before. And I have been a bit critical of Thorstottir. I think she's a mistake waiting to happen half the time. I don't think she's maybe as good as people make out to be. I think she's a great squad player, but I don't think she... for me, Millie Turner all the time. For me, that combination of Millie at the back with Mannion, I think it's perfect. I think we showed that against Brighton. It's shown against Everton. I think that actually set our partnership there. I think we should stick with that one now, and then Thorstottir to come in as we rotate and as we need through any injuries picked up. But certainly, I just think that we need to make sure that we are on our game. We are switched on again, and we win this midfield battle. There's been many times when we've gone against teams like this, and we've been outfought in midfield. But as I said, the last 2 results look promising, look more promising under Skinner. It looks we're now winning midfield battles. We are now winning first, second, or maybe even third to the ball as well. If there's a third winner in there, let's make sure we're the first to get to it. We're mopping up spillages. We're not standing off. We're not letting the opposition then win the second or third ball. Especially in midfield where it's absolutely critical that we take control of it. So, I'm happy.
Do you think it's a coincidence now that Lads found herself back in the starting 11?
Well, mate, I've said it before. I've said it loads of times on this show that
I said it last season.
First name on the starting lineup.
We concede more when Lads not playing. I've said it last season when we were struggling against Birmingham in the first half. Lad didn't start, came on, and then we battered them second half. And it's just Lad's one of these. She might not get the credit, but she's not going to shrink a tackle, and 9 times out of 10 she does win the tackle and stuff. And that's what we need more of them. I think that's what we've been annoyed about sometimes is we go in half-heartedly. Yeah. And if you go in half-heartedly, you're not going to win the ball. You 9 times out of 10, you're more likely to give yourself an injury, don't you? They always tell you don't go in half-heartedly because that's how you get injured.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, I'll come to your points because I know you've got a few questions from an Aston Villa fan that unfortunately had to drop out at the last minute, couldn't make it. But I know you've got a few prepared questions already from I believe his name's Chris, an Aston Villa fan. So we'll get onto that in a minute. I just want to get but first of all, I just want to get your sort of points on Aston Villa. And of course, as always, I always ask you this because I know that you're a connoisseur of the women's game as well. Is if there's one player you could pick out on the Aston Villa side who could cause a little bit of danger, who would that be?
I think he's just mouthed Remy Allen there.
Yeah. Maybe I should come to Anthony for that as well then.
Is that who you're going to say though?
No, I was, and then I was going to say that midfield 3 of Remy Allen, Petzelberger, and Chloe Arthur. Yeah, has done some good work for them. But yeah, Anthony knows, you see, because Anthony knows I said that Leicester will be in the shit when Remy left, and look what's happening.
Yeah.
It's fallen apart in midfield where they're losing possession and big gaps. So yeah, no, Remy Allen, the danger player. I could just mention those three for me. I think when those three are on form, Villa tend to perform better. Don't create much. Now I've watched Villa 4 times live this season. They've had these weird kickoff times and fixtures that have just never clashed with United. So it's been perfect. So obviously, because Nat likes Wardy and a few of us will go down. So I've actually seen them against 2 of the so-called big 3, if we're including City. Watch them against City. Watch them against Arsenal. In fact, I've seen them against Chelsea. So 3 or 2, I was right. 2 of the so-called big 3. Obviously saw them against Leicester as well. So I think, listen, we know what we're going to get. For 45 minutes, they're going to sit back and they're going to try and go into half-time at 0-0. And then it's just a case of whether they crumble and when they crumble. Listen, I don't want to criticise other managers. It's not even my team, but it's an interesting way of playing. I get why they do it, but for me, I think your best form of defence is attack. And they've got players in that squad that are good, not even a bad squad. But listen, that's the way they play, so that's fine. That's their way. But I'm fully expecting them low block, probably usually 10 players behind the ball, and Alicia Lehman, for some reason, is used as a lone forward, even though she's a wide player. That's what they do. Obviously, she's quick, so I can understand that. Maybe injuries dictate. I don't know. But I'm fully expecting them to do that. They'll be happy with a point, 100%. They will take a point. They'll be buzzing with a point. So I think that will be their game plan. Whether we stick with the same, which I'd stick with the 4-5-1, try and match or outplay their midfield. Because that, for me, like I said before, that's the key bit. If we can get that and break it down and convert chances, then I think, like Anthony said, once you get 1 or 2, floodgates will open. And that's exactly what happened against Arsenal. They lost 4-0, and it should have been about 8. And it happened against Man City. I think it ended up, was it 5 or 6?
5, yeah.
The only team it didn't happen against was Chelsea, and it was 1-0. But that said, Chelsea, it wasn't the strongest team. They did rest quite a lot of players. They had Champions League involvements. I think they were on their 3rd game of the week. So that's understandable. Chelsea a little bit tired, gives Villa a chance. But yeah, listen, I think it's one of them. We just need to build on what we've done. That's all we need to do for me, and I'll be happy. Get the win. Build on what we've done, reset, Christmas break, and let's kick on. And it's important we kick on. But I think what's interesting for me is being at home. And I know in previous years, home's been a fortress, but I just wonder, obviously Brighton was away, Everton was away, and I'm just thinking, could it be a psychological or a pressure thing at home? 2,500 fans, we average 2.2, so 2.2k to 2.5. The men's team is postponed. It's not on. So there's potential there for people to come that just want to watch a Man United team.
Under 23 is postponed as well on the Friday night. So
Under 23 is postponed.
So it's the only United fixtures left standing as the time of recording that is only going ahead of this weekend. So what I will do, just sorry to put in there, Matt, I will put this call out. I know Natalie did it on Twitter earlier. Any United fan wants that last minute sort of football, their football fix, if you like, that last minute football fix before Christmas, get yourself down to Leeds Sports Village. It's only £6. 12 p.m. kickoff against Aston Villa. Let's fill it as much as we can. Let's get behind the girls. But your support won't go unnoticed either. Just get yourselves down. It's a cheap day out as well. Bring the family as well. It's quite cheap. I know they do like family deals as well with tickets as well. So get yourselves down.
£2 or £3 for kids.
Yeah, something like that, isn't it? I know for a family of 4 or 5, they do like little special offers as well. So just keep an eye out on the website for that, manunited.com, or through Leeds Sports Village themselves. So through their website. So yeah, just get yourself down if you can. Sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to put in there, mate. Continue, buddy.
No, all good. All I was going to say was, could the pressure of being at home be getting to us? Like the home form has been patchy, hasn't it, compared to what we used to? So I think could the pressure home playing it? Maybe. But listen, we'll see. That's what it's about. You need to be able to play in the pressure at Man United. So that's all I was going to end with, pal.
Yeah.
And then, but you carry on, and then I'll read out Villa bits shortly.
No, absolutely.
We haven't won in the league in the opening game of the season, have we?
At home?
Yeah, in the league. First game of the season was our last win at home. Or am I wrong?
He's posed a good question there. Now that's got me thinking.
Let me check. I was getting moves on.
I think it is. I think we because obviously we've had Arsenal at home, we've had Chelsea at home. Obviously, you've had the Conti Cup against City, which we won, but we drew against City in the league.
Chelsea, we didn't win. City at home,
we drew.
Yeah, City at home was a draw.
Because they had 10 women.
Yeah, he's right. He's right. Yeah.
Is he right? Yeah.
Spot
on. Spot on there, Anthony. Eh?
He's right, because we had Reading, which we won.
Yeah.
Leicester away, which obviously don't
3rd
count.
September.
Chelsea at home, which we lost. City we drew. Then we had 2 away games in November of Spurs and Everton. Home and lost to Arsenal. Obviously, Brighton was away. And then Villa home.
Right.
So, yeah, in the
Absolutely
league, we haven't
won
today. At home since the first game of the season. So
again, that backs your point up, though, Matt. No, are we feeling the pressure at home?
Well, it got me thinking the other day, because we're picking up wins on the road now, and we're picking up wins where we're not expected, or we didn't. Well, I shouldn't say we're not expected to, but Brighton, listen, to flying. So I was thinking, get a point. Things like that.
We've struggled against Brighton recent times as well.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Have we beaten Brighton in 90 minutes at all at their place? No, because season 1, the FA Cup went to extra time.
FA Cup, yeah. No, it didn't.
Extra time in 90 minutes, Anthony.
No, it didn't go to extra time.
It did, didn't it? In the FA Cup.
Did it?
I'm sure it went to extra time because LJ scored and Shivy saved the pen.
I'm pretty sure we won in normal time, like 2.
Check it. I'm sure it was extra time.
Yeah, I will do.
Anyway, whilst he's checking that, so obviously, it was good to get a win in the league there. But yeah, like I said, it just got me thinking, because obviously we like Anthony just statistically proved there, obviously disregarding cups, we've struggled, and it's like a fortress. So could more people, obviously more fans at home, obviously, than on the road at the time being, but it could be a psychological thing. But listen, I still don't think it shouldn't be an excuse, but I still think we've got enough.
He's got the answer, I think.
Right.
Go on.
I'm definitely right. We won 2-0. It was 0-0 at half time, and we brought Lauren James on. We scored. I don't know if we went 1-0 up, definitely, but then I'm not sure if they got the penalty in between going 1-0 up or 2-0 up. But then, like you said, Shivy saved the penalty.
Okay, well, I'm going to rephrase.
But, we did win.
Then we've never won there in the league.
Yes. Now until Sunday, you would be right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Until Sunday, we had never won in the league. So credit where credit's due on that, because Casey didn't manage it.
Yeah.
Do you also think our poor home form is also down to the fact that we try and create a bit of atmosphere, try and make it as intimidating as we can for the opposition, and then maybe looking at that now and thinking, we can shut them up. It's a big psychological advantage for us. We go and get a point from LSV, or we go and get 3 points from LSV. Do you think that's maybe a factor, or do you think it's just a factor that we've been, let's be by our high standards, really poor at home at times this season, especially against the big so-called big teams like Chelsea? We've got absolutely battered, and like Arsenal, we've got beat.
Are you asking me or Anthony?
Is this you?
Open to both of you. I want to get both your opinions on this.
Okay. I would say you mentioned the teams we've played. Now, let's be honest, new manager, things time. In theory, looking at the Arsenal and Chelsea squad, you would expect to struggle to get the 3 points against them too. No harm about that. It was just the manner, the Chelsea game, the manner of how we lost, getting trashed, was it 6-1, was what made it so bad in terms of being at home. The Arsenal game, we didn't actually play too bad. We just didn't create enough and some silly mistakes. The main annoyance would have been, result-wise, I feel, would have been the Man City game. They've had injuries. They were down to 10 players for just under an hour of the match, and we got a 2-2 draw. And I know a lot of people left that game very frustrated just because of the circumstances. I know people say it can be harder to play against 10, but I feel with over an hour's advantage, you should be taking that. Look at when United played Young Boys. We had that sending off by Wan-Bissaka, and yes, we would have drawn if it wasn't for that Lingard pass, but they capitalised on it because it wasn't just that pass. Before that pass, they were all over us that second half. So it was all about taking advantage in that situation, and I feel like we didn't.
Yeah, I think
it would have been different. It would have been different if we had played teams like Tottenham at home, Villa at home, Birmingham at home. If we had dropped points against teams like that, no disrespect to them, then I think it would be a serious matter. But until we've played them sort of teams, other than the City game where we'd be disappointed, I feel points-wise, you can't really say is it a barrier at home, because it's all about keeping it tight against the top teams, and unfortunately it didn't quite go our way this season. But on terms of who we've played, I'm not too worried about the home form because of the teams we've played. If it was, like I said, Reading, well, we beat Reading. If it was the teams like Tottenham, West Ham, Birmingham, Leicester, then I would be thinking a bit more into it.
I think just to add to it, for me, the only reason why I sort of mentioned it was because, like, sort of looking at it, like Anthony said, it's there and it shouldn't be an excuse. Could it be potentially? Yes, but listen, talking about noise and things, they should be used to that now. I just think it's not the noise, I think it's more the pressure. And obviously Anthony mentioned about, away teams wanting to score and shut the crowd up. I don't really think they do shut us up. I think it's always there. Maybe that's the aim, and maybe it might be a little bit less, and maybe people might jump on backs a little bit more and get a bit aggy, and maybe that works. But I just think for me, it's one of them. It's interesting. Just a thought. It was more of a, is it a reason why? But yeah, I'll let you move on anyway, pal.
So we'll move on to this, the halfway stage of season review for both teams. I'm going to try and, unfortunately, as I said, Chris couldn't join us. I'm going to try and give it from an unbiased Manchester United point of view. Try and give our sort of opinion on Aston Villa as well. I know it's tied in with the questions that Chris has got as well, so that sent us in. So halfway through the stage for the season. Matt, I don't know if you want to go first, perhaps. I know you've got the questions as well from Chris.
I'll do it and get it out the way. So obviously Chris is an Aston Villa fan. We know quite well. Chris is about quite a few games, of other teams. So people have probably seen him about. He does a lot of football writing. He's got a big interest in sort of development football as well. But he's basically, so I'll read it out, and apologies, it is on my phone. He's put Aston Villa, how to summarise it: 3 wins, 1 draw, 5 losses. We look better this season than last season, but for me, there's still room for improvement. For me, we are too respectful of teams at the start of a game. I think this is the way we set up, and sometimes we maybe need to be more sort of attacking and physical. It says, looking at the team overall, Hannah Hampton has been excellent. The back four, when it's Maz Pacheco, Megan Sargent, Anita Asante, and Sarah Malin, have been really, really good, and it's solid. Sometimes they played a back 5, and Chris was saying he doesn't like this because it takes away a player out of midfield. And obviously, we mentioned that midfield before, and he says here, if we take away midfielder, it makes us less creative. However, overall, even with 4 at the back, he still feels that he, thinks that they lack sort of creativeness and options. He does say sort of create more chances. That needs to improve. There needs to be more shots on target because they're currently down there when stats wise in sort of the lower teams for that. So yeah, more shots on target, need to improve that. Create more chances. That sort of links into midfield. The 3 I talked about before, Petzo, Berger, Chloe Arthur, Remy Allen, he said outstanding in midfield. And then he said on Sunday he's hoping for a 1-1 draw. He said he thinks they'll nick a goal on the counter. But yeah, that's how he'd summarise Villa. Like I say, he mentioned that, I say, being happy because it's better than last year. But obviously there's room for improvement. So yeah, those are Chris's thoughts. So thank you to Chris for sending those in. Obviously, like you said, Benny, he can't be with us, but really appreciate sort of the Villa side. And that's, like I say, that's just his summary of halfway through, and he's gone for a prediction for Sunday. But yeah, that's that.
Well, you're not going to tell us what his prediction is for Sunday now. Or you leave it at the end of the show?
1-1.
No, I just told you 1-1.
A 1-1.
A goal on the counter. Come on, even Anthony's listening.
Right, because I've been typing back to Anthony, you see, I must have missed that. But anyway, I know, mate, I know. I can't double task, I'm a lad. Anyway, Anthony, I'll come to you next, because obviously I know you need to shoot off quite quickly. So how would you assess United in particular, and if you've seen any of Aston Villa this season, how would you assess them as well, at the halfway point?
Yeah, I'll start with Villa briefly. I think they've done what they've needed to do with the teams around them. They've got, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've got the win against Villa at Leicester, and they've got the win against Birmingham. Now, it's quite obviously Birmingham and Leicester are going to be the 2 scrapping it out for staying up this season. And Villa it's still close. Villa have got 10 points. And yeah, they're only like 2-3 points off. 1 win can get them up to like 6th. So it's so close. And I think in general, Villa fans will be happy with the amount of points. They would have been thinking at the beginning of the season, I reckon it would have been interesting to see what Chris would think. If you are listening to this, Chris, then do put your comment in so we know what you feel. But I feel they'll be happy with the gap they've got between the top 2. I feel like maybe before the beginning of the season, especially with Imabuchi going in that, I feel like they might have thought they were going to be in a scrap with Birmingham. And I don't know with Leicester, because I always thought, I thought with the team Leicester had, they were going to do better. And to not have any points, it does surprise me a little bit, but it's obviously not going to plan there. I know people say they've come up too early, but they've got WSL quality in there. The likes of Sigsworth, McManus, and that. They've beat City in the Conti Cup last season, or the FA Cup, if I'm wrong, correct me. So I think Leicester will be disappointed with that. But overall, I think Villa will take it. They would like to pick up a few more points, I feel like, against teams like the likes of Reading, West Ham, potentially. But overall, with Villa, I think they'll be content knowing that the gap is 9 points, and they'll be hoping it's still 9 points. But I feel like if they beat Birmingham and Leicester in the return legs, I feel like they'll be safe. It'll be Leicester and Birmingham, I think. So that's Villa. Going on to United, it's a bit of a 50-50 one, isn't it? We've had some good moments. Most recently, like the last week, as we spoke about, but then there is a lot of frustration. I know, you've been vocal, Benny, and I know Nat's been vocal about the way we play. Now, it's frustrating because we're not getting the wins. If we were getting the wins, I feel like it wouldn't be such a big thing. Like, yeah, we want to see good football, but if we won 22 games 1-0, then we're not going to bat an eyelid, are we? We're going to be like, oh, Mark Skinner's the best thing since sliced bread or...
You'll say garlic bread down there, but you know.
Yeah, garlic bread, yeah. You wouldn't bat an eyelid. It's the fact that we have been in situations, Everton, where the goal, God knows, I thought Mary had two hands on it, the Tottenham right at the end, and it's them things that have led to the frustration and be like, because you should never try and defend a 1-0 lead, especially with us. We are prone to making errors. So when we did get the second goal on the weekend, it was vital. It just takes the pressure off. You can play your own game without worrying, thinking, oh, no, it's only 1-0. Oh, I remember what happened last time. Because it must sort of be in their head a little bit. We're only human. But then on the flip side of things is we haven't lost many. We lost against Arsenal and Chelsea, which... Yeah, that was. I wasn't going to say any more teams. I knew it was 2.
Just checking.
But I know how many we lost, but it was just the manner of the Chelsea game, as I said earlier. That was the most frustrating thing. But even if we were on our game that day, it wouldn't have been 6-0. We threw a lot of goals away, but I still feel like they were above us in that game. The same with Arsenal. It's just getting them wins against the teams. Our aim, and I feel like our aim before the season started, even though we didn't know how things were going to go. Obviously, we had the Casey, the end of last season to the season. We just wanted to get it started, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So it was a bit like we got the win against Reading, which sort of settled it. But it's too many draws. I think that's why we are where we are. If I know you've got to convert the draws into wins. I know Skinner can say for all. I feel like if we had won against Tottenham and Everton, yeah, it's an extra 4 points, and we should have got them 4 points, but we didn't. And there's nothing you can do about it. Tottenham have surprised a lot of people this season. The only team to get a point with Arsenal. So, in terms, I would say a little bit disappointed at the halfway stage. But then I think teams around, it's because every team can beat someone. Like, look at Brighton. They lost to Reading. They're a funny team, Brighton. You think they're going to lose, and then they win. And then you think, oh, they'll win this game, and then they'll go and lose. Like against Reading, for example. Me and Connor both had Reading to lose, and they didn't. But they're a funny team, Brighton. But overall, at the halfway point, I would say I'm slightly disappointed. I feel like we should have had more points. But
what's a quick mark out of 10? Just end it. What's a quick mark out of 10 that you give United?
Right, I'm not going to go halfway, and I'm not going to go lower. I'm going to say 6. Yeah,
6 sounds good to me. And I do agree with you, I'd say. I think it's been too many draws.
And I say 6 because we are in the Conti Cup knockout stages this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did make it hard. We should have been there. And no disrespect to Leicester, but we should have been beating Leicester. And unfortunately, we lost on a penalty shootout. But and then the league, it's just the not closing of the Everton and Tottenham game. If we had beaten Tottenham and Everton, it would have been a 7 or 8. But it is what it is. But at the moment, 6.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a tale of too many draws. I'd probably say 6 as well. And Matt, I know we've got to move on to the Championship before we wrap up. So I want to just get a quick sort of out of 10 mark out of you as well for halfway through the season. And very briefly, your thoughts.
Yeah, just before that, obviously Anthony's got to shoot, so thank you for joining us and sort of taking time.
Yeah, cheers, Anthony. Thank you.
Thanks
Much appreciated,
guys, and enjoy your Saturday evening.
See you later, pal. Take care.
See you later.
Yeah, I think for me, I'd agree with what you two said. 6 out of 10. I think, yeah. Listen, obviously we've lost 2, but you know, if we're comparing to last year, I think were we unbeaten last year? We were top anyway. Put it that way.
Top this time last year, yeah.
Conti Cup, obviously we've lost players as we know, but I think 6 out of 10 is right. We're slowly clawing it back. I think if we'd have lost to Brighton, it'd have been probably 4, maybe 5. But I think that putting us closer to top 3. If we beat Aston Villa on Sunday, I think. I'm just trying to think in terms of closing the gap. I think for me, depending on other results, I mean, Tottenham play Everton. Now, if that can be a draw, I think it's Brighton. Now, did Brighton play at Arsenal? I think they do. So if Arsenal can do us a favour, we can sort of close that gap, assuming Tottenham draw and we win. We can draw level on points with Tottenham in 3rd. So, yeah, I think just to summarise, I think 6 out of 10. Still a long way to go. I want to see an improvement now for the second half of the season because that's where we struggle for me.
Absolutely. Now, I know before we need to wrap this up pretty quickly. So before we get to wrapping it up, obviously there's it's been announced that Barclays has extended their partnership and sponsorship deal with the FAWSL and with the Premier League. Because I know it's been 20 years with the Premier League now. Whether it goes back to the Barclays Premier League, I don't know. I'm not so sure. Or whether it just stay in the Premier League, I don't know. But there's 20 years for them. They renewed their partnership with the FAWSL as well. So it's still been the Barclays FAWSL. And now they're also putting their hat into the Championship as well and increase the pot of money going into the FA Women's Championship. What do you make of that, Matt?
2 things. And I did tweet about it actually the other day. And then it got seen by the head of the Women's FA and I don't know how she'd taken it. But anyway, it was nothing horrible. I'll start with the good bits first. Pleasing in terms of the WSL. I think building on what it's already brought to the league is fantastic. Another 3 years. And this should take it to the next level. You know, Kelly Simmons, who heads the FA, she talked about where the money's going to go. And she said there's going to be a lot more in grassroots, which is great. A lot more in marketing, which is brilliant. And she did say there'd be some going to referees, which we've been talking about for years. And I'm not going to go into that now, but if that happens, great. In terms of the Championship, again, fantastic. I think, listen, the Championship needs, more promotion and more investment. The bugbear I've got is that they only have 1 Championship game live a week on the FA Player, and I think this needs to be improved. So with Barclays, hopefully, listen, if they can get every Championship game on that FA Player, that's improvement. If they can get in, I mean, it starts next season, doesn't it? So I think if they can get 3/4 of that league pro next season and then the season after fully pro league, fantastic. Let's do it. I think it's about time. And they talked about sort of leveling up the gap between WSL and Championship. Fantastic. Again, great. That's what we want. My concerns and what I tweeted about, which you saw because I had a conversation with Stu Barker from Since 71. My concern was the gap between Championship and tiers 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I mean, obviously, it's going far, but certainly between tiers 2 and 3. And I said, that's great, but what's going to happen there? And we don't want to see that gap widen because then it just becomes an exclusive 2-team league. And then that's when you're going to see teams bust because they'll be going for broke trying to get into the Championship. Stu tweeted me back. He had a conversation with Kelly, and he just said there is plans in place for funding and sponsorship deals and money going into third tier downwards. So me with my head on of thinking about everybody else, even though everybody likes to criticize me and say I'm biased against United, maybe I am. I do care for general football, women's football in general. People will know that anyway because I watch all sorts of games. But yeah, so that for me, like I say, good for the Championship, good for WSL. It does mean, they have kicked into gear, like I say, but it's not been confirmed yet that, like I say, third tier will get that. So hopefully, listen, the money's filtering down now. And as long as it doesn't go ridiculously crazy like the men's, it can only be a good thing. But yeah, I want to pass over to you because I know we've only got a short period of time left. Get your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think you've hit the nail spot on the head there, by the way, about the disparity between the Championship and then level 3 downwards. I'm hoping they stick to the word. There's a sponsorship deal coming in, whoever it may be, for levels 3 and down, and then hopefully that some of that Barclays money does filter its way down as well. Because otherwise, as you said, though, teams are going to try and go for bust and maybe get themselves into financial trouble by just trying to get into the Championship. We need to make sure that it's not just an exclusivity club, as you said, for the rich teams, for the bigger sides, that maybe can afford to have teams in the Championship and in the WSL. So we need to make sure that every team from level 3 downwards has a good fighting chance and a right to make sure they can get into the top 2 leagues. We're not making it a closed off competition. But other than that, I'm happy. Barclays is a big sponsorship in the world of football. They were the old Division 1 sponsors before it went to the Premier League. Then obviously for 20 years they've been in partnership with the Premier League now. I know that the Premier League went on its own and had its own sort of scrapped the Barclays off the trophy and off the badges and now, but I think it might be coming back from next season, so it could become the Barclays Premier League again. It's good though because we know that Barclays have a genuine interest in football and they will do all they can to make sure the money is going to where it needs to be going and invested in the game, which is very, very good. And it's good to see that the Championship is getting investment finally as well. It's not just a WSL and nothing, And hopefully now, as I said, it can continue down into the from tier 3 downwards. Whether that be a separate sponsorship deal, I don't know, but to make sure that they get the money that they need. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there because I know we could do it under an hour. Is there anything that you wanted to add before we finish, pal?
A couple of things. Tomorrow, match day content. Obviously, Villa game. Keep an eye out. Little bits on Twitter, mainly on Instagram. Monday, match reaction. Schedule will go up on Sunday. Tuesday, I've got a player with me. Me and John, Lucy Ashworth Clifford from Lewis FC. So, keep your eye out for that. Now, in terms of the next 2 Saturdays, obviously next Saturday's Christmas Day and the one after is New Year's Day. So we need to have a conversation with John. We're not going to obviously put a shot on Christmas Day, obviously. But certainly New Year's Day, we might do one and pre-record something maybe for the afternoon just because of family commitments. We may not. So again, that will be clear on the schedule. But have a good Christmas, everybody, and a good New Year. And we'll catch you in the New Year when we're back. Cheers, Benny.
Yeah, happy Christmas. See you later, everybody.